Thank you very much for having me here today. My name's Jolyon Sharpe. I'm the project lead on the Making Space for Sound project. Is it forward there? Yeah. I think last time I presented was 3 years ago, and it was a Star Wars themed presentation. So I just want to reassure all of you in the room that there isn't a single Star Wars character in this presentation. I'm really sorry. And I'm here today not to talk broadly about the project, but about a game, an educational game that we have developed called CoastCraft. But before I go into detail about the game, I just want to give some stats, some information. There's going to be no detailed statistics associated with this, so no coefficients or anything. Don't want any questions on that. Thank you. So first of all, just a very simple chart. We know from this very simple line graph that from tidal gauges in Cornwall that sea levels are rising and set probably to rise further. We know from this table here, this chart here, that we're going to see that global temperatures are rising. We can see it with the data that's already been collected. And we know that depending on what we do or don't do, that those temperatures may increase to a greater or lesser extent. So this is all a known quantity, and looking at where things are going with CO2 production, things aren't looking particularly brilliant. And we know that all of this has a potential to impact on people everywhere, and also people in Cornwall. So we're not isolated from the challenges. They're impacting people that live in Cornwall. So in a project, what are we doing? Well, initially, we're collecting a huge amount of data. This is a story all on its own, really. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail on this, but we're working with a range of project partners. We now better understand the health and integrity of our dune systems. Some of them are struggling more than others, but also we're learning a huge amount about sediment pathways. Is there sand? Is there a store of sand offshore? Is that being fed onshore? Is it mobile enough to help build dunes and build nature-based solutions, natural resilience? In some cases, yes. In many cases, no. But understanding the challenge helps massively understand how we may need to respond to the challenges in the future. So just a few lovely visuals. As I say, I'm not going to go into any detail on this because it's not the purpose of this presentation. But what we do need to think about is how we share this information with younger people, because the challenge we've got, I showed you some, I'll go back there, look at those lovely tables, graphs, charts, all lots of pretty colours. We've got to try and make sure we share this information with younger people in a way that is not overtly complex. Sometimes we like to bedazzle people with science and equations, models and maths. It doesn't really always work. It's not everyone's jam, and we need to make sure that we are pitching the conversation piece at the right level. Again, not everyone is particularly interested in all of this complex science, so we need to make sure that whatever we do is something that keeps people excited and awake. We also want to try and make sure we're producing information that is something that makes you think, something that makes you ponder, gets those cogs turning in your head. We don't have all the solutions. They're being formed. We need to think about those solutions. And also, quite critically, we need to be thinking about facilitation or sharing information online, preferably, and something that doesn't require specialist facilitation. Finally, we need to be thinking about sharing information in a way that's not scary, something that's fun. So all sorts of challenges with information. And also we need to be thinking about that, what is the target audience? If we're thinking about schools, we need to be thinking about, well, how many schools are there? So I'm just going to ask a question. How many schools are there in Cornwall? Anybody have any idea? Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Anyone? How many? 300 and something. You have been looking at my presentation. There is just over 300 schools in Cornwall. So even if I wanted to go to a school today and talk, there wouldn't be enough time in the year to do so. So no, we're not Father Christmas, and we've got to be thinking about how we can facilitate this. We also need to be thinking about the time constraints of projects. We're only here for another year and a half. It's great to go into schools and talk to them, but they can only benefit from that so long as the project is there. So we've got to be trying to think about the legacy benefit. So I think we also have to think a little bit bigger than Cornwall. So how many schools are there in the UK? Anyone? Don't need an exact number. Yes. There's more than one person looking at present. That's really good. Well done. I should have done like chocolate bars for right answers, but I would be down by 2 chocolate bars already. Anyway, so the challenge we've got is not just isolated to Cornwall. Actually, it's beyond the borders of Cornwall, and actually, it's really important that we share the learning and this exciting opportunity with people outside of Cornwall and further afield. So that's effectively what we've got to think about in the whole mix as well. Sharing is caring, and actually there's a real opportunity of sharing that message with more people is going to be beneficial more broadly. So that left me pondering all of those things to consider. Do we have enough resource? Do we have enough time? It's got to be exciting. It's got to be interesting. And an idea did come to me. I would love to say that it came to me with no inspiration, but fortunately there was inspiration out there. And that came in the form of a computer game that the Environment Agency developed called Rivercraft. There's 2 versions of this game. You've got the one that's helping a flooded community, and then you've got one which is about nature-based solutions. It's a really good game that's based on the Minecraft education platform. It does have a limitation though, in that the game is a task and finish game. So once you've played it once, if you go back and play it again, it's exactly the same game. So it limits that repeat play, which is kind of what you want to try and do if you want to drill in a message. The other innovation that I could benefit from was the visualizations the Environment Agency developed in Vue. So there's a huge amount of modeling that's gone behind this, a huge amount of effort that's gone into creating these visuals. So what I wanted to try and do really is combine those 2 things, a style game, which could allow you to, I don't know, influence a map depending on your actions or inactions, and get kind of a score from that. So the output from that, if I want to bring this all into one simple process, is the CoastCraft game. It didn't happen instantaneously. It took a long time to build and develop this game. It's geared towards the geography specification. Again, focused mostly on key stage 3, so you're talking 11 to 14-year-olds. But also we did trial it in a number of primary schools in years 5 and 6, stuck really well with that age group as well. But it looks at elements of climate science, but principally geography. And I think importantly, the question, and I want hands up on this one, some interaction. What is Minecraft education? So I'm going to start off first of all. Who has ever heard of the game Minecraft? Just hands up if you've heard of it. So lots and lots of hands up, which is good. Okay, hands down, hands down. Who's played Minecraft? Hands up. We've literally, for those online, we've literally only got a handful of hands up in the air. So I'm disappointed in all of you in that regard. But anyway, for those who are not aware of what the Minecraft game is about, it's a very popular 3D computer game where players can build almost absolutely anything they can imagine using blocks. It's loads of creative freedom. There's a survival mode in the game that's very exciting, and lots of skeletons and zombies and stuff can get quite scary. So it's quite a big open world platform. So the yin to the yang of that is Minecraft education. So hands up, who's heard of Minecraft education? We've got a few hands up. Okay, hands down. Who's played Minecraft education? So we just got 1 or 2 or 3 hands up. So not many. So Minecraft education, same platform, but it's designed for purely educational purposes. So it's all about game-based learning and covers a huge range of subjects. So it's used in about 40,000 schools across 140 countries. So it's a trusted, well-established platform where you can learn through play, which is fantastic. So we've got CoastCraft, we've got a platform and a trusted platform where it sits. So who helped build the game? So making space for sound, we were very much the golden thread, but we had to work with a number of other stakeholders to make the game a reality. Got to make special mention for Block Builders. They are a company that is based in the UK that their sole focus is developing educational games for this platform. So we worked with them to make sure we could build our world. We also work very closely with the Geographical Association and the Environment Agency to make sure that we had the right technical advice to make sure it aligned with what we would see from a climate change perspective, and also making sure it aligned to the geography syllabus, the geography specification. I think it's also really important to highlight a number of other local stakeholders that made this possible, and big thanks to Windmill Hill Academy in Launceston, Sir James Smith School in Camelford, and Budehaven Community School, because their students tested and broke the game repeatedly. And I think that's a really important part to highlight, is when you give people who understand how to play the game, they will find a creative way of breaking it. So the first sessions we were on were very much about, go on, try and break it. They would break it horrifically. We would go and fix those issues, and then they go back and try and break it again. There were several students there, I think will get jobs in the future breaking computer games. They were experts at it, but they were pivotal in the development of the game. So game objectives, sorry, very wordy slide here. It's an interactive game to learn about coastal landscapes and how sand dunes can be used as a nature-based solution for flooding, coastal erosion. You can explore strategies to respond to climate change and sea level rise, and you can visualize a range of potential futures for Bude, where the game is based, influenced by the choices you make in the game. So what have we got in the gameplay? So there's a bit of a scene set at the beginning. The first mini game is about moving the storm tower. What's really nice is this is something that's actually happened in a Bude community. So if you want to do research, which is associated with the teacher's pack, you can find out more about this. The second game is all about the importance of dunes. There's an element of working within the dunes to help them become more resilient and bioresilient. There's information there about invasive plants, dune succession, etc. And all of these things are in the national curriculum. The main game, you have limited resources with which you have to move assets, manage sea walls, manage the sand dune system in response to the predicted coastal change, whilst considering the views of the community. And there's lots of different people in the community with different views, wanting you to spend your limited resources on what they are interested in. So your actions in each phase will give you a sustainability score. So I think that's critical. Here's a picture of somebody there with the sustainability score, and that's a really non-confrontational way of showing how well balanced your decisions are in the game. I think a nice final touch in the game is we've created a career space. I can always remember when I was in school a very long time ago now, had an interest in geography, and the option that was given to me was being a geography teacher. There's a load more opportunity out there, and I'm hoping that from this game we will hopefully enthuse the future coastal geomorphologists and coastal archaeologists. So that's the gameplay. The beautiful thing about the game is once you've played it once, you can go back in and play it again and try and work out a different scenario for the location. So how do you use it? What we've found from experience is that younger people tend to be familiar with the platform, familiar with controls, and they take to it like a duck to water. What we find when we trial it with older people and teachers is they don't, and it's very slow. I'm not just looking at someone there. But yeah, what we often find is that they find controls complex, and it's a very unfamiliar way of educating sometimes, so that it's a bit intimidating. I think it's worth highlighting at this point as well, when we developed the game, we wanted to make sure it was accessible on a range of different devices. So you can play it on phone, tablet, laptop, games, computer, but it's been really spec'd down. So you don't need the newest, best equipment, which hopefully means if it's used in the school environment, they're not having to buy lots more equipment. They can use what they have. Resources for the game, Minecraft Education itself provides some really good online tuition. So if anybody's interested, you can learn how to use the games, etc. on that platform. We've also produced a pretty good teachers pack, or a facilitators pack with the game, which provides all of the detail, lots of great visuals, links to curriculum, glossary of terms, everything, so that the facilitator or teacher delivering can sound like an expert even if they've never used the game before. I think also we have produced a very short walkthrough film, so that if you want to have a little bit of a preview as to what the game looks like, you can do that. How to find CoastCraft? Well, what you have to do is download the app first of all. So Minecraft Education, type that in. You can download the app. Once you've done that, you can either search through the quite large games library for the game, or you can just simply type in CoastCraft in the top and you will find the game instantly. Once you click on that logo, the CoastCraft image, it will take you to the game where you can create it as a world, and then it downloads into your games library and you can save your process, play the game as and when you wish. I've got a few quotes here from students who have tried the game for us. I'm not going to read through these, but I think it's really important just to say what was really nice is when we have gone into schools with the game, students were queuing up after break, after lunch to come and play the game again. How often did you do that when you wanted to go back to a geography lesson through a book? What was really nice as well is we could see how the brains were working with the students, and that some were trying to get the best score and compete with each other. Others were looking at more scientific method of doing nothing and then just focusing on moving assets or just building walls or just working with nature to see how that influenced the score, which is really great. It's also really nice that students can play at the game at their own pace and still have the same learning outcomes. So it allows people to move along at their own pace. And I think we've got to recognise that not everybody in the classroom enjoys being in the classroom. What we found is those students who are less enthused about the classroom environment were very enthused about learning through play. So it's a really good way to engage with those students who are not interested in it. So a really good way of learning. And I've just got to throw this last slide in. Recognition. The game's been very well accepted. We've had lots of praise for it. And I think very recently, probably the nicest was last week, the UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction posted about how good they thought the game was. So that's quite an acknowledgement. And just 2 days ago, the game was listed, shortlisted as a finalist as the best secondary digital learning product for this year. So that's a couple of accolades that I think in a short period we've had the game running are worth acknowledging, and that's come from an innovation program and from Cornwall. So it's something we should all be proud of. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for listening. And if you want to have a look at the game, it's downstairs. Thank you.